The allegation was first published by former Attorney General Anil Nandlal after a court hearing involving suspended chairman of the Public Service Commission, Carville Duncan, had ended, claiming that the judge hearing the case had been threatened in open court. Nandlal accused Williams of saying directly to the judge, quote, "The last magistrate who did that to me was later found dead. And I'm saying so, that the last magistrate who did this to me was found dead," unquote.
So it's when the judge was about to leave the court, and I asked to see if he could clarify whether he recorded or no. That is what happened. So at no time was the magistrate threatened. There was no reason for the learned magistrate, who was a schoolmate of mine, to feel threatened by me. So to subsequently see that this allegation is made by Mr. Nandlal and posted on his website, on his page, and it's actually adopted by Kaiser News and by Ghana Times, who never called the Attorney General of this country. I think it's such a disrespectful act and is an attack against this government.
At least 2 senior state counsels were present with the Attorney General in court. Nandlal had suggested that it was as a result of the alleged death threat that Justice Holder left the court hurriedly without adjourning the Carville Duncan matter.
My own view about that is that the judge had intended to leave. I probably detained him by asking a further question. And of course, the judge could always send notices to counsel about whatever new date it is, etc.
Williams said the allegation by Nandlal was sparked by the fact that he was cross-examining Duncan's confidential secretary regarding the receipt of a correspondence from the office of the Prime Minister Moses Nagamootoo, and her answer had been recorded by the court.
Cross-examination of Mr. Duncan. Were you able to know exactly if Mr. Duncan or his confidential secretary received that letter from the Prime Minister?
You asked a question like you're a lawyer, a very good question. That is the issue. Mr. Duncan is saying that he never received a letter from the Prime Minister. The Honorable Judge said that since there is a conflict with the Prime Minister saying that he sent the letter and that it was received, because you must remember, the Prime Minister also deposed that on May Day 2016, he, in company of Mr. Lincoln Lewis, were at the May Day celebrations in the National Park when they met Mr. Carville Duncan. And the Prime Minister said that he remarked to Duncan that he hasn't heard from him yet, with reference to the letter he sent him, and Mr. Duncan said to him that he'd hear from his lawyers.
Williams maintained that if anyone should be cited for contempt of court, it should be Mr. Nandlal. He explains.
Mr. Nandlal had been disturbing the court incessantly, and despite repeated warnings by the judge, Mr. Nandlal continued to do that. The judge actually said at one time that we had a 10-minute break from Mr. Nandlal, who has been like a child with a toy, playing with a toy for the last 10 minutes, so we had no interruptions.
Court sources say that Mr. Nandlal is in search of company since he was heard on a telephone recording making death threats against Kaiser News publisher Glenn Lal. Justice Franklin Holder could not be immediately reached to say whether or not he was threatened. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.